A raging storm, torrential downpour. Lightning split the sky, illuminating a small, insignificant village. Fear gripped the hearts of the villagers. This night was different. An evil presence descended. Then a baby's cry. A boy was born. No one dared approach the house or the hill. Whispers of strange occurrences spread like wildfire. The midwife, her face pale with terror, spoke of unholy symbols. The child's eyes, she said, held an unnatural light, a darkness beyond comprehension. Years passed. The boy, named Damien, grew. With each passing year, the strange occurrences intensified. Animals cowered in his presence. Plants withered at his touch. A palpable aura of dread clung to him. The villagers whispered, their voices hushed, their faces etched with fear. This was no ordinary child. This was something far more sinister. Damien was different, aloof. He was not like the other children in the village. He possessed an uncanny ability to influence others, a gift that seemed almost supernatural. His words, though few, held a strange power. When he spoke, people listened, almost entranced, a power that could sway minds and bend wills to his own. People found themselves drawn to him, yet repelled at the same time. It was as if they were under a spell. His presence was both alluring and terrifying. Strange events continued to unfold around him. Unexplained accidents befell those who crossed him. It was as if a curse followed in his wake. Birds fell silent as he passed. Nature itself seemed to hold its breath. A palpable darkness followed him like a shroud, casting a shadow over everything he touched. The villagers, once dismissive, now watched him with a mixture of fear and morbid fascination. Their superstitions ran deep, and they began to see him as a harbinger of doom. They whispered of ancient prophecies, tales passed down through generations, prophecies of a child born under a blood moon, a sign of great and terrible things to come. A child destined to bring about the end of days, a figure of apocalyptic significance. The village priest, a man of God, felt a growing unease. He had dedicated his life to faith, but now he was filled with doubt. He had seen the signs, the unholy symbols that matched the descriptions in the ancient texts. The unnatural hold the boy had over others was undeniable. It was as if he wielded an invisible force. He delved into ancient scriptures, his heart pounding with each turn of the page. The more he read, the more his fear grew. The prophecies spoke of a deceiver, a charmer who would lead many astray, one who would rise to power and plunge the world into darkness. His blood ran cold at the thought. Could this child, Damien, be the one spoken of in the ancient texts? The priest's mind raced with the implications. Damien reveled in the fear he instilled, a dark pleasure that surged through his veins. He discovered he could manipulate people's thoughts, their desires, bending their will to his own. He could make them do his bidding with a mere suggestion, a whisper that echoed in their minds. Their fear was his weapon, their weakness, his strength, a potent combination that made him nearly unstoppable. He learned to control his powers, to mask them from those who might oppose him, becoming a master of deception. He excelled in his studies, absorbing knowledge like a sponge, always seeking more. But it was the darker arts that truly fascinated him, drawing him deeper into the abyss. Ancient texts on demonology, forbidden rituals, the occult, all became his obsession. He devoured it all, his thirst for knowledge insatiable, his hunger for power unquenchable. With each passing day, his powers grew stronger, darker, more formidable. The world outside the village remained oblivious, unaware of the evil that was brewing right under their noses. But Damien had plans, grand plans that would shake the very foundations of their world. He would not remain confined to this insignificant backwater. His ambitions far exceeded its borders. He would have his revenge on the world that had shunned him, a reckoning long overdue. He would make them all pay, every single one of them, for the pain they had caused him. As Damien grew older, he began to understand the true extent of his powers. They were not just simple tricks or illusions, they were something far more profound and terrifying. He wasn't just manipulating people, he was controlling them completely, bending their very essence to his will, making them mere puppets in his grand design. He could feel their thoughts, their desires, their fears. Every emotion was an open book to him. He could exploit them, use them to his advantage, turning their deepest secrets into his greatest weapons. The world was on the brink of chaos, teetering on the edge of an abyss. Wars raged, famine spread, the suffering was palpable. Economic turmoil gripped the globe, leaving millions in despair. Damien saw an opportunity in this chaos, a chance to reshape the world, a chance to seize power, to establish a new world order, his world order built on the ruins of the old. He would be the savior the world craved, even if it was a salvation born of darkness and manipulation. He left the village, his heart filled with a cold, calculating ambition, ready to embark on his dark journey. He would start small, subtly influencing events, manipulating people from the shadows, always staying one step ahead. He would create chaos and then offer himself as the solution, the only beacon of hope in a world gone mad. He would rise to power on a wave of fear and despair, his influence growing with each passing day. The world would be his, a dark kingdom ruled by his iron will. Section 5. The Syndicate. Damien's journey led him to the Syndicate, a clandestine organization that had been manipulating world events for centuries. They recognized his power, his potential. He was the key to their ultimate goal, global domination. He quickly rose through the ranks, his intelligence and ruthlessness unmatched. He used his powers to manipulate their enemies, to sow discord and chaos. He orchestrated wars, toppled governments, brought entire nations to their knees. And with each victory, his power grew stronger, his grip on the world tighter. The Syndicate, blinded by their lust for power, failed to see the truth. Damien was not their pawn. They were his. He was using them just as he used everyone else. He was playing a deadly game, and they were nothing but pawns in his game. Section 6. Seeds of Discord. Under Damien's guidance, the Syndicate tightened its grip on the world. They infiltrated governments, controlled the media, manipulated financial markets. They created a climate of fear and uncertainty, paving the way for their puppet leader to emerge as a savior. Damien, using a carefully crafted persona, presented himself as a man of peace, a visionary leader who could unite the world. His charisma was undeniable, his words dripping with honeyed promises. The masses, desperate for hope, flocked to his banner. They were blind to the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. The world, ravaged by conflict and despair, embraced him as their savior. They failed to see the strings being pulled, the subtle manipulations that were shaping their thoughts, their desires. They were being herded like sheep, unaware of the slaughterhouse that awaited them. Section 7. A world in chaos. The world descended further into chaos. Wars escalated, economies crumbled, natural disasters ravaged the land. People, desperate for answers, for someone to blame, turned on each other. It was a carefully orchestrated symphony of destruction, conducted by a master manipulator. Damien, through the Syndicate, controlled it all. He fanned the flames of discord, nurtured the seeds of hatred. He thrived on the chaos, his power growing with each passing day. The world was ripe for the taking, and he was ready to claim his prize. He watched from the shadows, a satisfied smirk playing on his lips. His plan was unfolding perfectly. The world, broken and bleeding, would soon beg for his rule, and he, the bringer of peace, would graciously accept. Section 8. The False Prophet. A charismatic figure emerged from the shadows, a man claiming to be a prophet sent by God. He preached a message of unity, of peace, of a world united under a single benevolent leader. The world, desperate for hope, embraced him. This was no ordinary man. He was a master manipulator, a puppet master in his own right. But even he was but a pawn in Damien's game. He was the false prophet, the herald of the Antichrist, sent to prepare the world for his master's arrival. The false prophet traveled the globe, performing miracles, preaching a message of love and unity. He spoke of a coming golden age, a world without war, without poverty, without suffering. But it was a lie, a carefully constructed illusion designed to lull the world into a false sense of security. Section 9. Global Domination. With the world primed and ready, Damien made his move. He stepped out of the shadows, no longer content with manipulating from the sidelines. He presented himself as the solution to the world's problems, the answer to their prayers. He promised peace, prosperity, and a new world order. The world, blinded by their desperation, their desire for a savior, embraced him. They hailed him as a hero, a messiah. They willingly surrendered their freedoms, their rights, their very souls to him. They had no idea they were embracing the devil himself. With terrifying speed, Damien consolidated his power. He established a global government, a one-world currency, a single, unified religion with himself at its head. He controlled every aspect of their lives, their thoughts, their very beliefs. The world had become his playground, its inhabitants his toys. Section 10. A world enslaved. The world had entered a dark age. Damien's reign was one of terror and oppression. Those who dared to oppose him were swiftly silenced. Fear was his weapon, and he wielded it with brutal efficiency. The world had become a prison, and humanity its prisoners, but even in the darkest of times, a flicker of hope remained. A small group of rebels, those who refused to bow to Damien's will, fought back. They were outmatched, outgunned, but they refused to surrender. They were the last bastion of hope in a world consumed by darkness. The future looked bleak, the world shrouded in darkness. But the human spirit is a resilient thing. Even under the iron fist of a tyrant, it finds a way to endure, to resist, to hope. The fight for freedom had just begun.